Hello everyone, welcome back to the Possum Stamps YouTube channel. I'm Jessica and today I'm sharing a fun interactive edge-to-edge shaker card. So I've seen this style of shaker card around a lot lately and I thought that the brand new Ruff Life stamp set from the Possum Stamps new release would make the cutest card using this technique. Like I said, I'm using the Ruff Life stamp set along with the coordinating dies. This image with the cute little puppy reminds me so much of my little dachshund Sobe, though she's not gray, which is what I'm going to be coloring this puppy. So the color inspiration isn't quite right for her, but she does love to lay amongst all the pillows on the couch. So an edge-to-edge shaker card are made using a variety of things. What I've decided to do is reuse the clear package sleeves that comes with most stamps and dies. So this is one of the clear packagings that come with the Possum Stamps sets. But first I'm going to stamp this large pup image onto the watercolor cardstock. I'm using Canson and also some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, which is water resistant ink. I'm also going to be using some distress ink to color with. And not only does this stamp set come with this really cute large image of the pup on top of all those pillows and blankets, it does have some really cute little add-on stamp images. So I'm going to add those too, like the bunny slippers and the teddy bear, etc. And if I don't use all of them on the front of the shaker card, I can use them for the inside, of course. I went ahead and I stamped the Dreamy bubble with the bone inside on vellum, and then he embossed with clear embossing powder to set that black ink, that way it doesn't move. For the watercoloring today, I'm going to be using some distress inks. I have fossilized amber, pine needles, cracked pistachio, chipped sapphire, and Victorian velvet. I do have out antique linen, but instead of using that to watercolor some of the images with, I decided to use the cream color for background cardstock. So I'm still using that same color. I like this bit of a color palette. I'm going to add some music this time to the watercolor portion of this video, so sit back and relax and I'll come back in a moment. Watercoloring, I think, is just so soothing, and it was just a lot of fun and really relaxing to color these images. So now that that's done, I'm starting on the panel for the shaker. My thought was to create a dreamy background. So I'm taking a cloud stencil and using the Chip Sapphire Distress ink and carefully blending the center of that cardstock, using the cloud stencil as a border around the cardstock. I'll do this for all four corners. I think using a blending brush helps to have more control over the ink blending on where that ink goes. So I can concentrate it more in the middle and give this cardstock a nice cloudy frame around a really dark blue sky. So that was kind of my thought there. Off camera, I did quickly splatter this with clean water, Copic opaque white for some white splatters, and some gold watercolor paint using the Kiritaki Starry Colors watercolor set. I let that sit and dry before adding some strong adhesive to the back of this. As you can see, I did mess up on this previously when I was trying to figure out what I was doing with the cloud and that Chip Sapphire ink. So I did just flip it over and try again, and I liked the second attempt a lot better. My panel is 3.5 inches by 4.25 inches. So a good tip for the clear plastic is to give yourself plenty of room to fold that over on whatever size your cardstock is. That way you can adhere it. So I cut my clear plastic to 4.5 inches by 5.25 inches, giving myself 1/2 inch on all sides. And that just made it super easy to make sure that those folds can be creased down very easily. Another thing is to cut the corners as you go along. So you can see me using some scissors to trim out that corners. That way there isn't a whole lot of bulk on that clear plastic on the back side. You can cut these as an angle or just cut out the sections. Just make sure that you don't cut too far and make a hole in your plastic where you don't want it to go, and the sequins will fall out. Another tip that I did not do, I folded my clear plastic over very tightly because I wanted it to be a really good and here a very sturdy pocket apparently. I would say don't do that. Don't worry so much about folding the plastic over tightly. That way you let your shaker bits, your sequins, have a bit more room to move around freely. So my sequins that I'm going to add would have moved around just a bit better if I had let that loosen up a bit more. Also, using this kind of tape with the backing really does help. That way you have plenty of time. You don't have to worry about the plastic sticking to anything because it doesn't have that backing paper. So you can easily just move from one section to the other and fold it over and adhere that plastic to the back side. And then move on to the next one, taking that backing paper off the adhesive and folding down the clear plastic. So that just makes that a lot easier. So that also lets you leave that last side very easily. It already has adhesive ready to go. All I have to do is, after I put in that sequence into my little shaker pocket, remove the backing and fold it over, and I'm done. I really do like this style of shaker. It's fun. And because it isn't so bulky, because with other shakers you tend to add some dimension with adhesive foam, and you kind of build up a thick card, which can't always be, friendly to our mailing processes and stuff. So this kind of just cuts down the bulk a bit and would be very easy to ship. I'm using some of the fun possum stamp sequins for this shaker. I have the beautiful white assortment of Dreamy Days, and I thought that peach tea, which is like almost a rose gold color, would work really well with the Victorian velvet color of the distress ink that I used for the watercoloring. And one of the newer ones that I'm using today is the new Blue Lagoon sequin mix, that really pretty bright blue that I love. I added a piece of fog gray cardstock to a top fold 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. That's a standard A2 size. And now I can mount the shaker pocket using some strong adhesive. I'm going to use the same tape adhesive that I did to seal the clear plastic pocket. After die cutting all the cute images that I had watercolored previously, I'm going to use the coordinating dies and cut those out and add those to the front of this card. So I'm using my ATG gun for some to adhere. So I'm using my ATG gun to adhere these images to the plastic and to the just the front of the card. I think that will be the one that it would adhere best to. You could also use that same strong adhesive that I had used for the back of the shaker card, but I figured my ATG gun would work well for this. I also used some glossy accents, just a little bit of it behind the stamped lines to adhere down that dream bubble bone image on the vellum. I love how well a white gel pen really makes that little bone pop. You get that really crisp white color right there. The sentiment, "May all your dreams come true," is included in the Ruff Life stamp set. I used a coordinating cardstock and attached that to the top left, just above all my little images there. I still had a few extra stamp images like the teddy bear and the bunny slippers, so I decided to include those to the inside of the card, and as you can see in the inside, I had already stamped "Happy Birthday, Relax and Enjoy." The Happy Birthday is from the new Just Sentiments Basic 1 stamp set, so it's just a sentiment stamp set. It has some really great different fonts that you can add and make your own sentiments. And the Relax and Enjoy is actually another beautiful sentiment from the Ruff Life stamp set. I'm loving how well these sentiments mix and match together. Instead of using the distress inks that I had used previously for the watercoloring to stamp these sentiments, I decided to use the same colors, just a couple of them, Cracked Pistachio and Fossilized Amber in the Distress Oxide line. I find that those stamp a little bit better and I get the same color palette. Alright you guys, that is it for me. Here's a little bit of the card shaking around and moving. I really hope that you enjoyed this edge to edge shaker card using the new Ruff Life stamp set from Possum Stamps. Alright, that's it from you guys. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.